everybody, and on short notice, we have a second real romance episode in the span of 2 weeks. What does everybody think about that? Yay! So, this has been a great week for all the romantic stuff that came out.
They booed.
No, not everyone who listens to this is single. I'm sure we have some lovebirds out there who cuddle up with their honey and listen to a good podcast. It doesn't even sound good coming out.
No.
It really doesn't. Well, in case you don't know, my name is Robert, and this is my wife, Brittany, and we are a couple who watch videos, or rather movies. Movies? Well, we watch
videos, too.
We watch a ton of videos, a lot of Do Not Laughs and Vines and TikTok compilations and dumb stuff. But in addition to that, we watch all the latest movies coming out, and then we talk about them for our glorious fans on Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Last time, if you didn't catch it, I highly recommend going and checking that out. There was a lot of good movies that came out on that one, including the Lego Movie. Prodigy was one of them.
I forget.
Yeah, I gotta say, and you know this.
We've been really busy.
This has been the longest week for me.
Me too.
I've been working on a big project that I've been working on since June, and there's a tank that's like 22 feet by 5 feet wide. It's giant. It's like a swimming pool, and we had to back it in and get it all hooked up in a plant. And I've been foreman on that, and it's been just about the most stressful situation I've ever been in. So thinking about movies has not been on my priority list. So I'm just glad that we got in to where we needed to go. Finally.
We put it off for a while.
Yeah, because the week was so stressful. I was just like, well, we'll do the movie later. We'll do it later. Well, we already had plans to see How You're Training Your Dragon tonight. So we figured, since we'd put off doing the podcast for Valentine's Day weekend, and because How to Train Your Dragon was such a romantic movie in a lot of ways, we would throw that on this one as a special bonus and fill in the gaps for the next one to make a full
We'll figure it out.
5-movie roster.
Or we won't, because Captain Marvel will take up quite a bit of time.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk Captain Marvel like crazy. What we might do is actually watch the something on Netflix or Hulu or TV and just call it a day. Right. So please join us as we have a wonderful time talking about these romantic and sometimes not so romantic movies that were all premiered within a week of Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. Either before or after, depending, but mostly the weekend of. So, what's on the list for today? What are we going to talk about, Brett?
The first one is Happy Death Day to You.
Mm-hmm.
Then Isn't It Romantic?
Yeah, it was okay.
What Men Want, Alita, and How to Train Your Dragon, and then a Hulu original called Down. What was the series called?
Into the Darkness?
Yeah, Into the Dark. Basically, Hulu's doing this thing with Blumhouse and stuff where once a month they put out a movie related to a holiday in the month. They started in October with Halloween, and then they did Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and a Valentine's Day / President's Day.
Right, and that's the one that we did this one because we figured it's Valentine's Day, but it's also kind of different.
They're all very different. We really liked the October one. We haven't watched the January one. I don't know if we'll get to it. Maybe at some point later.
October was amazing. December was really good.
November was
crap.
So if you are interested, I liked February's was good. So we'll talk about it in a bit. But
yeah, but it's kind of hit or miss. But if you like the Blumhouse stuff, because Blumhouse also did Happy Death Day to You.
Mm-hmm, so that's
and The Purge and all sorts of fun stuff.
And Prodigy.
Yeah, they did Prodigy too? Wow. Yeah, so they are the up and coming.
They've been.
They are the up and up horror studio.
They're
Strictly horror studio, because some studios put out horror stuff, but they're not known as.
Like Lionsgate.
It's kind of like Disney is your animated movie goer company.
Anyway, so let's talk about Happy Death Day.
Well, the first one had our main character, whose name escapes me because it's late and I'm sleepy and it's been a long ass week.
She's blonde.
Yep, that narrows it down.
I don't think they say her name too much.
They do.
Oh. You have your phone. Anyway.
I don't know where it is. Anyway, she is a college student who has lost her mother recently. And,
not recently. It's
been like a year.
It's been a few years, I thought.
I thought it had been a year.
Anyway.
And that's why it was so rough. Anywho, and it's her birthday. And so she wakes up and she goes
about the first one?
Yeah, and she goes about her day and there's a serial killer and he kills her. And then she wakes up again and it's her birthday. And it's
basically Groundhog
Day, but a horror film.
So the second one kind of replays on that. And
at the end of the first movie, she escapes the loop.
Right.
That's the big thing, is that she does it over and over again until she finds out who the serial killer is.
Living her better life.
Right, and now she's living her better life because the serial killer is gone.
He did.
Right. Well, in this one, we kind of find out why that happens. Why she was in a loop altogether. She kind of assumed it was just kind of the universe playing a mean trick on her.
Trying to make her live her better life.
Right. And cope with loss and all sorts of things. But really, a minor character in the first film...
the roommate.
The roommate of her love interest.
And they were roommates.
And they were roommates. He is actually working on this crazy, physics project for his
thesis.
For his thesis.
Which didn't make sense because they were all the same age, but somehow he's in a master's program, and I was confused.
And they're all in their early 20s.
I was confused whether they were bachelors or.
And he's also like the dimmest character in the whole show, which makes it funny how he's like, I built a reactor.
Yeah,
right.
Like a quantum reactor.
Right, and it essentially deals with.
Apparently, he was really smart the whole time.
Right, but he's just
he's lazy,
eccentric or something, right? But he built this machine and he fired it up, and it ended up sparking a time loop. And long story short, she gets caught back in one, but it's not the same world that she's used to. She's actually in a parallel universe where her mother never died. And
her friend was nice.
Yeah, and her love interest is actually...
dating her mortal enemy.
Right.
Basically. I mean, they're not enemies, but they are.
And so, she's still getting killed at the end of every day.
Sort of.
Well, I mean, that's how the loop resets.
She kills herself.
Yeah. No, but the loop has to reset either way. And so, in order to avoid being killed, a lot of children just commit suicide every day and wake up that morning. And this movie deals with...
her body takes on the consequences of those deaths. So she gets sicker and sicker over time. And she really... which it doesn't make any sense. She really didn't recover that much. She had like a day to recover from the first movie. Right.
No, I always thought it was like, several weeks or even months later.
No, but
after looking at the trailers for it, I thought that
there was... it's literally like 2 or 3 days. It's like a week.
It was the next day. It was the next freaking day. Yeah. But
for her, it's felt like forever.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that, she's trying to escape this, but this alternate universe, it has its pros and cons. Like, her mom isn't dead, so she's reconnecting with her mother, but she also misses out on her love life.
And she has to decide whether she wants to stay and have her mom, or go back and have the love of her life.
Oh, and because it keeps resetting... the science team that's in charge of this project,
don't remember anything.
They can't keep track because for them it's a brand new day. So she has to continually memorize every single...
So she's not dumb.
She has to remember all the formulas and all the things that have been eliminated from their work so that eventually they can come to the correct sequence of, coding or whatever to make sure it works right. And...
the movie itself was a little complicated.
It was convoluted. The first one was fun and whimsical.
Simple.
It was, yes, the premise was very simple. The second one, they tried to justify
too hard.
It all.
They should have just been like, oh, well, it's happening again, like, for no reason. And it was just a little too complicated for my taste, but I still liked it. It just, the first one... Oh, that's gross.
They didn't hear it.
I'm sure they did.
Well, now they did. Thanks a lot.
It was just a little hard to follow, like, some of the physics-y, quantum-y stuff. They tried too hard to explain everything.
Yeah, my thing is that it's a really fun horror movie thing, but this kind of took the horror out of it, right? Like, yes, she died and stuff, and there were a couple of, like, oh, I'm gonna come kill you.
But the fact that you don't know and why, and it makes it better.
Right. Like, we know she's gonna kill herself, so she jumps off a building, she drinks bleach, she does all sorts of weird, exciting ways to kill yourself for the sake of the movie.
In the first one, it was scary because she never knew how they were, like, the guy was gonna come for her.
Yeah, she just figured that, she escapes the killer, she'll keep living. And so she kept continually having to avoid this killer over and over and over again. But in this version, she just brings it upon herself just to reset the loop for a specific reason. She's resetting the loop
to save people.
to continue the research so that she can go back to her own timeline.
Or at least turn the loop off.
Right, one or the other, and we don't know which one she wants until the very end, so it's a great way to not spoil the ending, but it's one of two options, right?
She can either stay in this new life or she can go back. It's pretty simple.
It's it's an either or situation, but the acting,
they were pretty good.
It's okay. There was nothing award worthy in this.
No, but they were decent for a B horror movie.
Yeah, it was a fun one, and there was plenty of gags and.
It was funny.
Yeah,
it's like a blind girl thing.
Oh God,
her mortal enemy basically it wants to be. Well, she thinks it's Anne Frank, but
it's really Helen Keller.
It's Helen Keller.
It's the miracle worker, and she wants to be in that play. And she says, "Yeah, I'm gonna be an actress. I'm gonna be Anne Frank." And everyone just looks at her like, "The fuck?"
And because she's pretending to be blind.
Yeah, but there are some fun gags, some fun aspects to it, and the end kind of.
There's a fun mid credits scene too.
It leaves some space open if they wanted to do another one.
But it would have to be very different.
Yeah.
And it would have to be probably a new cast.
Probably.
With maybe the old cast playing minor roles.
Right. I'm just not happy. They went too sciencey. I know that's really strange coming from a nerdy guy who loves science stuff.
Yeah, they did. They went too far.
The fun of this horror film was that it was like Groundhog Day.
Where you have no idea because you never find out in Groundhog Day why he was resetting. You just kind of assume it's because his life sucked and he needed to make it better.
Hey, what's the episode of Supernatural?
Which one? The one where Dean keeps dying?
Yeah.
Mystery Spot?
Mystery Spot.
Yeah, we find out why, but it's not sciencey.
Right, but the fact that it's not sciencey makes it more fun, right? It's kind of
it's the Archangel Gabriel.
Exactly.
Spoiler, it's a trickster.
Yeah. But
also the Archangel
if it was
Gabriel.
magic or if it was something unexplained, that makes a little more sense to me than...
It's not really a spoiler if it happened in Season 5, is it?
No, not really.
It's Season 14, guys. If you're not caught up, then...
Yeah.
Too bad for you.
What I'm saying is that if a time loop or some parallel universe or something is unexplained or it's magic...
It's a lot better.
It's kind of better because you don't have to try to science it away. And
the inaccuracies.
I'm pretty sure the type of people
that
are going to Happy Death Day to you
aren't science nerds.
Don't give a shit about quantum physics.
Probably
they
not.
really don't. They just want to see some fun, deaths to sorority girls, and that's part of what makes it appealing. Is that you can kind of dumb down for a few minutes.
Sweetie, you're rambling.
But how many popcorn buckets would you give it? 3.
Because it was still enjoyable.
It was a good movie. I guess I gave it a 3.5. It was fun. Sorry I'm rambling. I'm a little tired. Let's go to the next one.
Did we say, isn't it romantic next?
I think
so.
We did Isn't It Romantic next, yeah.
It was... Okay, so the premise of this movie is Rebel Wilson's character lives kind of a dull life. She doesn't have a boyfriend. Her mom is rom-coms aren't real. She's pretty down on rom-coms, thinks they're ridiculous. Which, they they are, but that's kind of the point.
Right.
And then she bonks her head, and she's in a rom-com, and it's PG-13.
And all the tropes that come with it. All the stupid, stereotypical rom-com things. They try to incorporate everything into it.
They try.
She has to...
Like the gay guy that sets gay rights back for 100 years or whatever she said.
Yeah, but I mean, like, everything so much is like, walking to a soundtrack and, like, everything being rich when
where they're making out and they're gonna have sex and then it cuts to the next morning.
Or they're kissing in the rain and they have way more money and way more space than what they should.
Her dog, who in the beginning of the movie looks like it needs a shave down, is suddenly this cute, clean, floofy little...
perfect little thing.
That knows tricks and stuff.
Right. But almost everything is different in this new thing.
Do you think that could happen to our dogs?
Never. Except for her best friend, Josh. And he's mostly the same, except for he kind of falls in love with a supermodel in this rom-com.
No, she's a yoga ambassador.
Oh, she's a yoga ambassador whose job who gets paid actually by being a supermodel. But that's not who she is. But it's all just goofy and fun, and she's an architect in this, which, by the way, kudos to whoever made it for being, like, not just making her, like...
some random office secretary.
Exactly, like, she has a real profession.
And, like, nobody in the office listens to her. She has this assistant, and before she gets hit on her head, her assistant literally does nothing but watch rom-coms all day. Like, she doesn't actually do any work.
That's living the fucking dream, man.
I wish I had that kind of boss.
Oh.
But anyway. I mean, it was funny. There was definitely some funny jokes.
Yeah.
There definitely was stuff that wasn't in the trailer that was really funny. We were laughing.
Karaoke night was hilarious.
The best part was that it was short. Like, it knew exactly... Like, it's a very tightly cut movie. So it knew exactly where and what to have in it and what to cut out. Like, it didn't have any extraneous scenes that you're like, oh, this movie's dragging.
There was one or two scenes that I was like, man, this could be cut, but it was under 90 minutes.
So, yeah.
Right? It was a short, sweet, and to-the-point movie that spoofs romantic comedies, but also has a nice message saying, you have to...
love yourself.
Love yourself,
and
you have to be able to open your eyes to love in order to receive it. You can't just
be blind to
expect
love.
it to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Rebel Wilson as the leading lady in this actually does fairly well. Right. Normally she's a supporting cast. She's a comic relief. But she's the star of this one. And I
thought she did well, yeah.
I approve. I mean, it's a certain type of role she has to play in order to make it work.
I don't think so. I mean, she is an actress. Is a little typecast. But I think she could do other stuff.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, like, how Melissa McCarthy, she has her lane that she stays in.
But, honey, that's because you're being white male privileged right now. Because that's what men in Hollywood tell her she has to do. So,
I'm not saying she can't.
Just stop.
She does all the same movies all the time.
Because she's typecast. You know how Adam Sandler does, like, the same movie because then people don't act like he can't do any different? It's the same thing.
And then when they try to do something different, nobody goes and sees it.
No, I'm not watching that. Exactly. That's exactly what... Only it's worse for women.
Mm.
You just don't understand.
Yeah.
Anyway... I mean...
Do you see her doing more leading roles in the future?
Maybe. I mean... The right movie.
What about Adam Devine?
I like him a lot.
Do you think he could be a leading man?
He's been in several leading man movies. Like, what do you mean?
He's never been the star of anything.
Yeah, he has.
Name one.
He was on that Netflix one where him and his, like, buddy, like... I forget what exactly they were doing, but they end up, like... They're saving everybody from something. I don't remember.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
No. You're not awake enough. You just don't remember.
I don't know.
Remember that movie where him and his brother need dates to the wedding?
Yeah.
He was a star of that movie.
Yeah, he was with Zac Efron.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
tell me he wasn't a leading star in that movie. There's been a couple like that. You just don't remember because you're asleep.
Well, then again, that he's not the quote star of it. He's a co-star with.
And then he was in
several others.
That one movie, the other movie on Netflix we watched, where he keeps going back in time to fix things with his love interest. I don't remember what that was called.
I do remember that, and he was the leading man in that, and it was actually a very, very good film.
So
I take it back. But that is a Netflix movie, so it doesn't count. La 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 la.
Robert's just biased against fat people, which is dumb.
Because I'm fat.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm not fat, I'm big boned. I'm very dense.
Whatever. Jiggle butt. How many popcorn buckets would you give it?
On a serious note, I'd give it 2 popcorn buckets, but for enjoyability, I'd give it 3.
I give it 3, because it knew exactly what it was making fun of when it was making fun of itself.
Yeah, there was no question that they weren't trying to be serious. They were making fun of the genre. The one thing that I would really cut out of it was the last song.
I liked that song.
At the very end, they're like, the only thing this is missing is a catchy tune with the whole cast. And then they all jump in and sing it. My issue is that this happens outside of the rom-com delusional world. This happens in the real world, quote unquote. So,
does it?
Well, yeah. Because her life goes back to normal.
But it kind of jumps back into the romance for a second, so...
Right, because...
Oh, like, remember when we saw Voices, and then at the end of that movie...
It felt like that for me.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, so...
Voices was worse.
Yes.
But I felt like this, like... I wish that little song had been...
Wrap
within
up your
the
thoughts
film.
there, hun.
I'm trying to! Oh my god!
He's grumpy.
Yes, quit telling me to wrap up my thoughts. I don't want to do that.
It's been 22 minutes. We've only made it through 2 movies.
Well, then let's...
The next movie is Alita. That's what we saw next.
Alita Battle Angel.
We saw it in 3D.
Yes. And I've been pushing for it because I think it looks fun. And Brittany has never wanted to see it because she thought it looked dumb.
This is the movie we disagreed about the most.
I thought Alita Battle Angel, despite some of the flaws, was a very enjoyable flick with great CGI and 3D mixed in, and it had action. There was conflict.
Romance.
There was a lot of fun parts of it, and I would watch the next one.
I wouldn't. I didn't like it. There was no character development. I did not care at a single bit about the characters. They were both kind of tropey and boring and unoriginal, and I'm sure that in the anime, or the manga, it was probably a lot better, a lot different, but they seem happy. I don't know. I just felt like the love interest was boring, and Alita was boring.
Alita was badass.
Alita was bland. She was blah. I mean, she was good at fighting and stuff.
I suppose if her most interesting aspects have nothing to do with her personality, that does make her kind of one-dimensional.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There was no...
That one dimension was really freaking cool.
The most interesting character in that film was the doctor. And he's a doctor who has, a side job as, a bounty hunter, basically.
Yeah, and he's played by Christoph Waltz.
And he did a fantastic job. And he was, super interesting. And I would legit watch just a whole movie about him being a doctor bounty hunter.
Right, no. Support cast in this was amazing. You had, I think is Jennifer Connelly?
Who?
The wife of the scientist.
I don't know her name.
Right.
She's an actress I've seen and stuff, but I don't really know her name.
She's been in a lot of stuff, and she was really good. And then, I can never say his name. Ali. First name starts with an M. Several syllables. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. But he plays the big bad guy.
That's that guy I saw in several things.
Yeah.
I don't know what
he's in really good stuff.
Name.
I like him a lot. I think he was in Luke Cage too. But everyone in the supporting cast did really well, I thought. And
there just wasn't enough of them.
And even there's a little stinger at the very end saying, hey, if we make a sequel, there's totally going to be this big name actor playing the villain. Kind of like there was at the end of Fantastic Beast. There's, for me, a lot of the interesting part of it came about with just kind of seeing the robotics in play. Like, this is in a world that's set 500 years in the future, and so cyborgs and robokinetics are all people. They're all integrated into people, and so robots are everywhere. Robot people are everywhere. There's also a really fun sport called rollerball.
Okay, can we just agree that it played up rollerball in the commercials and in the beginning of the movie, and then there was just like a serious lack of actual rollerball in the film?
I would have liked to have seen some more rollerball, but they didn't want to make. I don't think they wanted to make it a sports movie.
No, but that's like exciting. It's not sports. Like, she was literally like you literally practically rip each other's arms off and stuff because there's like cyborgs that play.
Yeah.
And it was just like boring.
Yeah, and so if you
that part of it was interesting, but
if someone has robotic legs and you rip off their legs, it's not like
they're
detrimental. They can just get new legs.
Or you can sew the old legs back on.
It's like fixing a race car, only the race car is their body. But
in fact, there is a storyline about somebody is like basically knocking people out and taking their parts.
Right, scrappers or something like that. But like I said, the villains are fun and interesting to watch, and Alita kicks all the butt. And there's actually a really fun bounty hunter character that Brittany liked because he had all these robotic dogs that would chase people down. And
just a minor spoiler: there is a death of a dog, and it is sad. So yes. Just be prepared.
Be prepared for doggy death. But Alita avenges little pupper. Don't worry. Don't you worry. She do. I mean, the dog still dies, but she definitely is out for blood or grease or whatever the hell it is.
The CGI in the film had some wonky spots, but overall it was pretty good. And considering the amount of it they needed.
And like I said, the 3D, we didn't pay for it because AMC A-List, we get
not sponsored.
We get our movies regardless of what they are, IMAX, 3D, whatever it is, it's included. So we went ahead and sprung for the IMAX 3D on Alita.
Because it has comfy seats.
And yeah, because it's got recliners and all that. And it was
good.
It was really well done. The 3D was really well done. So overall, what would you give Alita? 2. Well, or do you want to talk about the romance at all?
It was boring romance. That's all there is. It wasn't that exciting. She rushed into it and
sparks weren't great.
No, their chemistry was not very good.
I liked that there was a romantic aspect to it, though.
It's not their fault necessarily that the chemistry wasn't there. Sometimes two actors just don't have chemistry.
You remember 50 Shades. You remember Twilight.
Yeah, and I mean, and to be fair, her eyes are all giant, so it's hard to tell whether they really would have chemistry or not.
That is one thing, though. Like, manga eyes, they nail it. Everyone else is normal. They nothing different about them. But because she is almost entirely robot, the only thing human about her is her brain. Because of that, they make her eyes extra big just for the hell of it, so everyone knows that she's a robot.
She's the most human person he's ever met.
And some of the dialogue is very cheesy. But Brittany, you said that you'd give it two popcorn buckets.
Yeah, 2 buckets.
I would give it 3. It's very...
Boo.
It was played up for months and months and months.
Too long.
And I enjoyed it.
Me off.
I enjoyed it, but it wasn't, it wasn't spectacular.
Fantastic.
But if you're going to go see it, I do recommend it in 3D.
If you're a fan of the manga, I heard that people were pretty happy with it.
Right. So, also that is kind of a theme with people who read the books. Either you love it or you hate it. And if the book readers enjoy it, then it can be that bad.
Yeah.
It appeals to their audience.
So the next movie we went and saw was What Men Want. Did you like the movie?
I liked the movie. He
likes racist Mel Gibson's version better.
I do.
It's because you're sexist.
No, it's not because I'm sexist.
You're a little, though.
Well, I mean, everyone's a little bit sexist.
Also, you made kind of a racist joke earlier. Remember?
I didn't mean to. It was in regards to How to Train Your Dragon.
He was trying to make a dragon joke.
And it came off super racist. We were talking about... should we talk about this later?
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute.
We'll talk about it later, okay? To be continued. But What Men Want is essentially it's not a retelling
it's a
of it, but it uses the same general idea of what women want back from like 2000 or something with Mel Gibson. And it's where our main character, she is a ball-busting agent for a sports agency.
Who does not understand men.
And she just has female athletes represented. And she can't be in this whole boys club of being a partner because she can't land one of these huge names for the NBA or NFL or Major League Baseball. She's all about, WNBA, minor sports leagues, things like that.
Olympic athletes.
But she is phenomenal at her job.
She is Olympic athletes.
She doesn't get respected by her peers. So, at a bachelorette party, she meets up with a psychic who gives her some special tea. And then later in the night, she's all, tripped out on drugs and alcohol, and she ends up knocking herself out. And when she comes to...
she can hear men's thoughts.
It sounds familiar because it is. This movie kind of explores the other half of it. Like what men are thinking about, sexual stuff, dirty...
It's pretty much exactly what I imagine men think about.
And it's not entirely untrue. Some of them are played up for laughs and things, but
overall, yeah.
And she has trouble in relationships too because she is such an aggressor, and she was raised by a single dad. The first sex scene
was just like
sad.
Really abrasive.
It was very difficult to watch.
I was like, what person has ever really liked that?
Right, but she's very selfish and she doesn't commit well because she scares men off.
Her mom is dead, and her dad taught her to win at all costs. Only think of her, and he's a boxer.
Yeah.
So she's pretty tough.
Don't hit me.
I'm a boxer too.
Yeah.
Woof woof.
You're funny. But
overall, it was pretty funny.
And she also has a love interest, and over the course of the film, she kind of tries to get in his mind. But her main goal in this movie, after she starts reading minds, is there's this young college.
I have a question real quick. Her love interest has a kid who's a boy.
Yeah.
Why can't she hear his thoughts?
Because it's what men want, not what boys want.
Okay.
They probably have to be a certain maturity level. I mean, granted, a lot of men aren't mature, but I mean, in theory. But anyway, back to it. There's a young college superstar basketball player who's going to be like the top draft pick, and they want to represent him. Only problem is he has a crazy dad, an absolutely crazy dad / manager
played by
Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
And he's in charge of every aspect of this kid's life, and he hates it. But Tracy Morgan's character doesn't care. He's, he feeds him weird-ass smoothies.
With everything in them. He lists off so many ingredients for these smoothies, and he's like, sometimes he has the runs. And I'm like, yeah, because you put, like, the whole fridge in the smoothie.
Yeah, it's like you don't put mustard in smoothies and expect things to just go okay.
Unless you're Daniel Radcliffe on it.
Oh, God. But she can hear all these thoughts, and her assistant, who's with her all the time, he's gay, and
but she can still hear his thoughts. She can
hear his thoughts, and she can hear, who has secrets and who, like there's a secret poker night that she's been left out of because she's not one of the guys and because she can read thoughts.
She knows about it, but they keep denying it.
Right, but she shows up because she can hear thoughts and she uses that to her advantage. But throughout the movie is, it's fun, but it's also kind of sad because she kind of screws things up pretty hard.
Yeah, she doesn't stop singing with her brain, basically.
Yeah, she's so busy reading thoughts that she still doesn't get the whole point of it. That it's not about reading men's thoughts, it's about reading men's intentions, and they're not always the same.
Right.
One of the reasons why I preferred what women want to what men want is because Mel Gibson's such an asshole in it that, like, all the stuff that he does, like, you can tell, oh yeah, that's something that a guy would totally do. He would totally steal his female co-worker's ideas, pawn it off as his own, and then act like he's the victim when it backfires on him, right? And it was funny when he put on all that, like, you know, like waxing his legs and eyeliner and stuff.
That's how he got the powers in the first place. He's trying to get in the head of a woman, and so he waxes his legs and puts his stuff on, and then he hits his head.
Right.
Or
no, he falls in the bathtub with the hairdryer. Right. And I just think it's, like, really kind of funny. But in this one, it takes more of a realistic approach to it. And the psychic, it's a goofy gag with the psychic, but it's still fun.
How many popcorn buckets would you give it?
Oof.
I think solid 3.
Yeah, solid.
It was enjoyable, but, like, not, like, super rewatchable.
It was good.
Like, you could watch it if it was on TV, but, like, if you wanted, like, watch it once, sure, but to watch it again, I wouldn't, like, pay money for it again.
Yeah, but it's a definite fun watch. A good 3, I think.
Alright, so then, should we save How to Train Your Dragon for the very end? And go ahead and talk about the Hulu movie?
Yeah, let's talk about the Hulu movie first. Down is about a couple, but they're not a couple, but two people of opposing gender. They get trapped in an elevator over the entire weekend of Valentine's Day. From Valentine's Day into President's Day.
So from Friday night into Tuesday.
Or Monday, at least.
No, Tuesday. They talk about it because President's Day's on Monday, so that nobody's coming into the office.
Right.
Because they live in a magical world where everyone gets Monday off.
Yeah.
So everything seems kind of romantic and nice, and I mean it sucks, but
at first it's like, oh crap, I'm missing my plans, things are not good.
And then
they start to get to know each other.
And then things turn bad because some people aren't as they seem. And we don't want to give too much away because it kind of takes away from it.
Right, but I mean, like, it's Hulu, so whatever. But there is violence in this. They are pitted against each other. And even though they are trapped, there are ways to get out, and they get sabotaged by one or the other.
Yeah.
Based on the events that unfold.
Yeah.
It is a fun movie, but
it's kind of slow at first. Like
yeah,
it took about maybe about half hour, 35 to 40 minutes before it really, really got interesting. The first half of the movie was a little like, oh, okay, they're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
I'm a little bored, and then it started to pick up, and then
it is late.
From there,
boop.
From there, it was just kind of a roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, who's gonna die? Are they gonna die? That was crazy.
Right, and like it looks like one will have the upper hand, then the other one will have the upper hand, and overall they're just trying to survive. Mm-hmm. Both of them are, even though one is clearly in the wrong and the other one is a victim. They both, and by the end, they're both fighting for their lives.
Right.
As far as a romantic film goes, it's not so romantic, but there is a nice romantic sex scene that happens, and they build that up quite a bit.
It was definitely creepy in the second half.
Yeah, it's very soon after things culminate in a nice romantic scene that we really discover
what's
true
really
intentions
going on
and who people really are.
I would give it 3 popcorn buckets.
Man, it's kind of a 3 popcorn bucket night, ain't it?
It was. None of them were amazing, but none of them were terrible either.
Yeah, I'd give it 2.5. I was dozing off. Now, granted, part of that's because it's late and I've had a super long week. But I didn't fall asleep in How to Train Your Dragon, and I was in a nice recliner.
That was 4 hours ago. No,
Yeah.
6 hours ago.
But it was also super exciting.
It was short, too.
Right. But this movie was short, too. It was only 80 minutes long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd give it 2.5. But let's end on How to Train Your Dragon.
I really liked it. I've been a big fan the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the new one is about, Toothless and Hiccup are getting older, and there's...
Their island is full of dragons now.
Full of dragons, like,
Overcrowded.
overfull. And they're like becoming a target for trappers because they keep destroying their ships and taking the dragons they've captured. And there turns out there's a guy that literally has tried to hunt Night Furies to extinction.
Yes.
And he finds out about Toothless and basically makes it his mission to capture
Right, because he thought they were all gone, and now it's like there's one left, and he has to get it.
And so he kind of uses the Light Fury as bait.
And he actually just happens upon the Light Fury. It's not like he has
They accidentally miss her. At the very, very beginning, they're freeing all these dragons, but because she has the ability to hide and doesn't trust them, they miss her. And so they get everyone else.
Right. But it's not like the Light Fury's a pet or anything. It's just the bad guy, Grissom, I think. No. Gristle?
I don't remember his name. Viking name.
Yeah. He understands Night Furies. He understands them very well, and so he releases her on the island that, like I said, it's like a dragon and Viking utopia, and it's just crazy crowded. But
dragons in the soup.
But they come across this Light Fury, and so it becomes kind of a battle for Toothless, being torn between wanting to mate and be with the Light Fury and a loyalty to Hiccup and the people.
Friend.
Right. And that's why I wanted to include this on the Valentine's Day.
Because it was different types of love, but they were both love.
But there was a lot of romantic love, too, because there's the one between Hiccup and Astrid, and whether or not they actually want to tie the knot and make it official.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you guys ready to get married? And they're kind of just like, ah.
Right, they're romantic, but it's not really that way. And then
it isn't.
But then there's Toothless and the Light Fury, and there's also a lot about Hiccup's parents. Yeah. As well as a lot of like other type of relationship stuff, because everyone's getting older, they're ready to move on, and yeah, romance is everywhere in this.
Rough nut and tough nut.
Yeah, and we'll talk about all the characters later, but
I forget all the other minor characters.
Okay, before we talk about the characters, let's just talk about the animation itself. How beautiful.
Oh, there were some really beautiful scenes.
The Hidden World was by far the most beautiful, vibrant
But even like
scene.
The opening scene where they step out of the fire. Oh,
there's so much fun
beautiful
stuff. And we watched this one in 3D as well. And the 3D in this was actually really well done. Now, I don't know if it was just me, but the color was slightly off when I put the glasses on.
I think that's just your color blindness.
Yeah, I think it might be, but it was just so much more vivid without the glasses on. But
it wasn't. Trust me.
Okay, well, for me it was, so I guess I'm just an anomaly.
He's got colorblind. Sit up.
I don't want to, hun.
Then don't fall asleep.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm awake.
Grumpy.
Yeah, you're grumpy, you stupid head.
Anyway. But I loved it. I mean, I cried at the end. Like the whole last 5 minutes of the movie.
Of course. You cried through the trailers, and we knew. I called it, okay?
Maybe everybody knew. It's a kid's movie.
I knew what was going to happen. Now, we kind of speculated maybe somebody might die in this. But really, it was...
Don't spoil anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just saying it's about growing up. this is a coming of age movie for all these characters. And part of growing up is making decisions.
He's in charge now. He's trying to figure out how he feels about himself. He's having confidence issues, and really it's about him learning to trust himself and Astrid becoming his support.
Because he's been leaning on the dragons a lot. And that's even a theme with, like, you know, the team raids of these trader ships that, you know, they rely so much on the dragons that they're really lucking into their wins. And the only reason they're doing well is because the dragons are bailing them out. But the animation is just absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't find a flaw in it. And the 3D worked really well in a lot of scenes, especially with the
clouds.
With the main villain, he has 4 dragons or 6 dragons that are a special breed.
4.
Well, there's 4 I know that carry his thing, but then there's 2 more that kind of act as guards. But they have interesting powers. They're almost like scorpions, and they shoot, instead of breathing fire, they like shoot acid. And it's just a really fun aesthetic seeing those action scenes. I don't want to go too much into the plot. We've already touched enough on it, but it's good.
It is really good. It's definitely a nice way to wrap up the trilogy, but it also left room if they wanted to do another film, they could, but I think this is the end.
I think this is the end, and I would rather it be that way.
You could almost leave it for, like, you know how they have that TV show?
Yeah.
They could almost leave it for that, but not another big action movie.
Yeah. So the characters, there's a lot of characters in this. Most of them are returning from the previous films. There's only, like, I think just the villain as a new character.
Pretty much.
Well, and the Light Fury, which isn't a villain or a hero. I put it somewhere. Is that really important right now?
I needed to look up the characters. Thank you.
Okay. So, we got
Hiccup and Astrid.
Hiccup and Astrid, and they do well. And then the minor characters of Fish Legs and Rough Nut and Tough Nut and
then
Arid.
Valka is I think the villain, isn't it? No, Valka is his mom.
Valka's the mom. And then there's Stoic the Vast.
I like Stoic.
And Kit Harington plays Arid, or Arit, I think his name is.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's Arit. He was the villain from the last one who turned good.
Right.
And then there's the number 2 guy who always totes that. And there's some really, really funny jokes throughout. Like, this is a kid's movie that adults can really enjoy. And the jokes are targeted at all age ranges.
The movie starts, it's been a year since the end of the last film. And it was just really nice. It really was kind of a complex coming-of-age story that was beautiful and emotional and sad.
And in the trailers, you see, like, a lot of parts of Hiccup. Like, you see him as a very young child, you see him as an older man, you see him in the middle, and you do see all of that in the film at certain aspects. Some in flashback, some in flash forward. But it is a full
Grimmel
film.
Is the
Grimmel. That's what it is.
That's his name.
But yes, it is a very full film for being as short as it is. And I loved it.
I did too. I thought it was really good.
It had a lot of heart. It is one of the best trilogy wrap-ups I think I've seen.
It was really nice.
It doesn't look like it's trying to stretch it out further.
So for kids that like watched the first movie that are older now, it was really nice. It would be really nice coming of age story for them, and I think that was beautiful. I thought it was really sad. There was a lot of emotions, and you'll probably cry at least once if you care about it in the slightest. I mean,
yeah.
It was definitely... We took our dragons, too.
Yes, we got stuffed dragons from Build-A-Bear, not sponsored, and we spent way too much money. And we took our stuffed dragons to watch the dragon film, like adults.
And Light Fury.
Yes. But now we have them and they're super cute, and I don't regret it, even if it was too expensive. I think sometimes you just have to do that.
There's some really cool wingsuits that they've built.
Yeah.
Apparently dragons shed their scales a lot, and they've like built these suits, these fireproof suits out of their scales, and they've like fireproofed them. They use like the scales to paint certain stuff, and they use the scales and like take Toothless's like saliva and paint, and then they can
make it all fireproof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really nice.
I'm trying to think. There's also a lot of dragon gags. Like there's a really small dragon.
I don't remember what it was called.
That the Stoic he says, "Oh, that's a bad omen." And throughout the movie, there's just more and more of them, and we have no idea where they're coming from.
But they were really
They breed
cute.
like rabbits, but it's really cute. There's also a very, very large dragon who ends up making friends with one of the babies, and he's just, even though he's very large and intimidating, he's just a very fun-loving dragon. They're fiercely loyal. But yeah, Toothless and the Night Fury steal the show as always. And Hiccup is just such a lovable character.
He is. He's one of my favorite animated characters in the most recent.
Alright, so this racist joke I said, right? We were standing in line at the Cold Stone after the movie.
If you tell it, though, you might give away the end of the film.
Well, I don't know. Weeks ago, Pop Vinyl released some merchandise stuff that spoiled it. So, if they're listening here, then it's already out there. But we were talking about, if we had children, and they said, oh, we have children like, Toothless and a Light Fury.
No, I said, like, Hiccup and Astrid.
Hiccup and Astrid.
I said, because their kids are so cute, this is a spoiler, I mean.
Yeah, but like I said, there's a flash forward, and they do, they are together in the future, because they have to be.
They don't have to be.
But, I mean, it makes sense, right? But we're talking about it, and the kids that Toothless and the Night Fury would have, and I said I would hate it that if one of my kids came out half black. Oh, ha ha ha, it's such a funny joke, because
Toothless and the Light
Fury, they have kind of mixed children. And I'm laughing it off, but
meanwhile, we're sitting in line.
We're in line, and we're next to a black family, and I am mortified because in my context, we're talking about the movie.
Talking about dragons.
Right. But in real life, I'm being racist, and I didn't even realize it. So, whoops. Apologies. But I was standing there like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed.
I kind of tried to play it off for it.
Oh yeah, you played like a champ. I felt stupid, but I would have felt even worse if you'd have been like, Robert, don't be a racist butthole. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh.
It's not the first time it's happened.
Oh, yeah. Foot and mouth syndrome runs in my family. Sometimes both feet, for those of us who are super flexible. But this movie was the best of the week. Or best of this
I would give it 4.5.
4.5, solid. I mean, giving something a 5 is going to be really difficult. But this is...
It has to be fantastic.
This is up there. This was fantastic.
No, I mean, like... Okay, they're called hobgobblers.
Hobgobbler.
Okay, they really...
I thought he was calling them hobgoblins.
No, he probably was.
So, we are referencing these small little ones that,
There's this little... They look like toads with little wings.
Yeah, they're gross little things.
It's like a French bulldog of a dragon, basically.
But they multiply like rabbits.
There's some really cool... They tear up some stuff, and that looks really cool. But you'll have to see it.
Yeah. But yeah, so 4.5 across the board on that one. Almost perfect. Definitely go see that one. Because it has as much romance in it as any of the other, quote, romantic movies that came out over Valentine's Day.
There's a really cute little baby dragon, and he's a gronkle. And you've seen them before, like in like the Christmas special and stuff. But his name is Fish Meat. And he's so cute. I'm just looking at the names. Chill out.
Yeah.
He's so cute. I want a baby dragon.
Well, we have 2 stuffed dragons.
Yeah, but it's funny because Fish Legs, and then he has the baby, his name. Fish Meat. It's funny.
Yeah.
Who names their kid Fish Legs? I don't think that's a... I don't understand.
Well, I don't know. We've seen Amazing World of Gumball.
His name is Darwin.
Yeah, but he's got fish legs.
Anyway, I don't understand the naming in this movie. Okay, I know this happened in the first movie, so they already had their names. But okay, so like you've got like Hiccup. That's not a name, that's a noise. And then you got a normal name like Astrid.
But then you got Wingnut and Dingnut.
No, Rough Nut and
Tough Nut. That's
Tough
the one.
Nut. Okay, and then Fish Legs and Stoic. Like,
yeah.
Okay, like who?
It has to be memorable for kids. If you name everybody Jim and Sally and John, that it gets annoying.
I understand the main character having kind of an interesting name. Okay, and he's kind of a hiccup, so I mean, his name kind of makes sense. But you can't just be like, that one's Astrid, but the other ones are Rough Nut, Tough Nut, and Fish Legs. Like,
yeah, I get that.
There's a really funny running joke. I don't know which one's Rough Nut, the boy or the girl.
Let's just say Rough Nut's the boy.
Anyway, there's a really funny joke with his braids and his beard.
Oh yeah, he ties his braids around his whole face. He says, "Those of us with long,
full
beards."
Because they're like 20 years old in this film.
Right, but you can totally see that it's not attached to his freaking chin. It's not like...
Not even kind of.
It is obvious. It's
pretty obvious.
But he's still like, look at me and my big, manly man beard.
Everyone knows.
Also, minor point, Brittany noticed this, but I didn't. The original actor T.J. Miller, because of the whole sexual assault faux pas stuff...
I think it was more the fact that he got arrested for calling in a false bomb threat.
Oh yeah, that too. Anyway, because he was in hot heavy doo-doo, they decided to switch him out.
Last minute.
But they didn't want to do a complete... They wanted to still sound like him, so they got a T.J. Miller voice impersonator.
Well, they got an impersonator.
To recreate everything he said almost like verbatim and to the inflection point.
Which the director said he was really ashamed because TJ gave him some really good stuff. But higher ups
you have to kind of understand that though. There are reasons for it.
It was kind of a last minute thing too. They replaced it pretty quickly, like last fall. They literally basically had the movie done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so of these 6 films, let's rank them from worst to best. Again, we watched Alita Battle Angel, Happy Death Day to You, Isn't It Romantic, What Men Want, Down, the Hulu original, and How to Train Your Dragon. Starting from the bottom, how would you rank?
I would say Alita. See, this is really hard. The other 4...
Considering they're all 3s?
They're all 3s, and I felt like they were all equally... Maybe Happy Death Day, simply because I was sad that it wasn't as simple as the last one. Then Down, Isn't It Romantic, What Men Want, and obviously How to Train Your Dragon was at the top.
Right. How to Train Your Dragon, obvious top.
Anyway.
Oh my god. Okay. So, for me, the worst movie of the bunch was probably Down for me. Then, What Men Want, Happy Death Day to You, Isn't It Romantic, Alita, and then How to Train Your Dragon.
Really? Alita was up there that high for you?
Well, it was fun to watch.
You just don't like romantic movies.
It was fun to watch. Like I said, Isn't It Romantic? It's obvious parody. What Men Want, it's kind of a remake / sequel. Happy Death Day to You, it's a sequel that it wasn't done as well. And Down I just wasn't really into. Alita was something that I haven't seen before. It's an adaptation of a manga that I didn't read, but I still enjoyed it quite a bit. So, yeah. I'll stand by it. It's not a great film, but as far as enjoyability and rewatchability, I would choose Alita over something like Isn't It Romantic or Happy Death Day. So, everybody, that is the episode of all the fun stuff. And next week, we have some cool stuff happening.
Next
podcast. It won't be next week because we have to wait for March 8th so that we can watch Captain Marvel come out. Gonna be fun.
Originally, we were going to wait and put How to Train Your Dragon on that, but we felt for a blockbuster like that, it was a little bit too long.
And it's such a good film. Wouldn't you hate if all 5 films we had were 3s across the board?
Yeah, that's fair.
All meh. Like, at least How to Train Your Dragon, like, buffed it up. But for the next one, we plan on seeing, now granted, don't hold me to it, but we plan on seeing Fighting With My Family, Medea Funeral, Captain Marvel, and a couple of others. Greta, we plan on seeing.
We have an open spot. We'll figure it out.
When does Wonder Park doesn't come out?
I don't know.
That's a little later.
Couple weeks.
But I'm sure there's going to be one other film that either we haven't seen and planned on, or we can plug it in with something.
Always go see Cold Pursuit.
Oh, Cold Pursuit. No. We could probably watch something on Netflix or Hulu or something, but
if you have any recommendations,
yeah, let us know on Twitter, Instagram, probably not Facebook, I never check it. But we'll put out polls and we'll let you know on social media what's going on, and if you have suggestions, just let us know on the Twitter and Instagram Real Romance. Links will be on this podcast description. So until then, just keep going to the movies. Fill up your popcorn bucket. Make sure that you stay tuned to all the social media for any sort of announcements. And we will catch back up with you as soon as we see Carol Danvers kick some ass in the next Marvel movie.
It looks really good.
And I'm excited. And there's a lot of controversy behind it that I'm sure that we're going to talk about. So, much love. Peace out. Bippity boppity boop.
Bye.
Bye.